It is the top of the hour, and it's a Wednesday morning. Top of the hour time means it's a rev up, the agent attraction class. So, welcome everybody. My name is Sam Rodriguez, and welcome to another session where we get to bring you special guest after a special guest. And today we have the privilege of bringing up Mike Bjorkman, California Icon agent. Mike, let's see, are you up? There you are. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Amazing. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great, great. I see you also sport the flip flops, not only in real life but also here in
If I knew how to change them, maybe I'd switch it up a little bit. I haven't got that far yet.
That's all good. Hey, well, welcome. Thanks so much for taking the time and joining us here today. It's been probably a long time in the waiting, and we're excited for you to share some of your best practices. But before we do that, why don't you share with the group a little bit more about yourself first? A little bit about your background and history even prior to EXP.
All right, cool. I got into business when I was almost 19 in 1991. I was at Remax for 19 years. Then I went to KW like we all do for about 5. And then I started my own HomeSmart franchise, grew that to 300 agents, 4 offices, and decided that that was not what I got into the business for. So then I sold that. Saw the EXP model, knew for a fact I'd be out of the business if I didn't join EXP. And it's been about 2 years in September. Every day gets better. I love every single thing about this company and having a blast, more fun than I've ever had in almost 30 years of my career. So thank you for having me. I also coach agents all over the country. I've been coaching for years. I'm also a property manager. I manage 600 doors. And that's about it for me.
That's it, huh?
That's it, man. Oh, I still run a team too. I do run a team of about 10 agents, and out of Southern California, Santa Clarita, about just 30 minutes north of LA.
That's great. Well, Mike, you definitely are a busy guy. In fact, I also saw your post. So we're gonna jump right into some of all the fun stuff, right? Agent attraction.
Yeah.
It's great, always great to hear the backgrounds and where people come from and their journeys to EXP. And we're going to talk a little bit more about even as when EXP when you first discovered EXP. But I think it was yesterday or day before that I see you actually unlocked 777 agents in total organization. Is that right?
Yep. Super
You did that
fun
on purpose,
day.
didn't you, for this session?
Yeah, last time I posted 666 and that didn't go over well, so I couldn't wait to hit 777.
Well, that's awesome. So that's a large organization, and it's been, you said, about 2 years now, right?
In September it'll be 2 years, yeah.
Almost 2 years. That's awesome. And Mike, how many frontline?
Frontline is 29, FLQA is 15.
Great. So again, this is the point for those who might be, maybe first timers joining us here in this session. Again, I think, the number 777 might be overwhelming to a lot of people, right? But the fact is that it didn't happen overnight, right? It's been, coming up on 2 years. And probably more importantly, Mike, it's about who you surround yourself with, right? It's the people that you're introducing. You said 29 frontline, 15 qualifying. But even 29 agents in about 2 year period of time, just under 2 years, that's really not that. I mean, again, I'm not saying that's not a bad thing, but the fact that it's easier said than done in the matter that it's just going out there and introducing to other great agents, right? You didn't go find 777 on your own.
No, and I've learned a lot, and I've made a lot of mistakes, and I'll be super upfront and honest. I haven't spent a lot of time working on my front line. I thought that would kind of happen naturally and organically, and boy, was I wrong. But I did learn a little bit about network marketing, and I learned that it was very important to support and build my teams, not necessarily go wide first, but get a couple good legs and go deep and get those really stable legs. So I worked so hard on building teams for my teams that I kind of forgot about myself. And then the new rules kicked in. I was like, oh my God, is this really happening? So now I'm hustling. So I got about 5 onboarding now, and it should be about 20 FLQA in the next 30 days. But for now, that's where I sit, man. But the rev share are still spectacular, I'm making more money than most people make when they go to college and become doctors. So I'm totally happy with it.
And I think again, it's you make a great point about supporting your organization too, because at some point, right, for those who if they're just beginning, at some point you do have to do that. You have to you have to support really your always support your front line, but the larger that the deeper that I should say that grows. Um, it's yourself. You've got other leaders, your sponsorship group, but then you've also got your we call them the generals, right? Because
Right.
777, you said you had an office of 300 before, and I've had the 300 before. It's hard to manage 300 because you sometimes don't even know all 300, right?
Yeah, I knew probably 50 of those, and it was, and owning a brokerage, I learned a little bit about retention, and I learned a little bit about who you should spend your time with. And 90% of the agents didn't do any business, but they're the ones that got me in the most trouble. And the ones that really deserve my attention, I didn't have time to spend with those people, and they really deserved my attention. So now with our platform, I'm blessed enough to where I can spend the quality time with the people that are really hustling, and the people that are just completely checked out, I'm not forced to babysit them like I used to. So I spend time with hustlers, and I try to build up everybody. We do our free coaching, we do our free agent traction training every Thursday at 11 Pacific, and we have a podcast. We record it every week. So I give a lot to the team, but the ones that are actually grinding it out, that's who I actually get on the phone and Zooms with all day, every day, and and really try to build their teams. Because anytime you can help get a few people under somebody and they can start making a couple grand a month, not only are they not going anywhere, but you actually change their life, and they all become believers. And then when they're convinced that there's not a better model or platform or company on the planet, creates a lot of excitement, and they start attracting agents. And we have some people right here in the audience that are in my organization that are just crushing it, and I've never been so proud of agents in my life. And not only are they doing a great real estate business, but they're doing a great attraction business too. So it's pretty it's really nice to watch it all come together.
It's nice to see it all come together from our side as well, Mike. I guess let's take for a moment. Let's kind of rewind then, kind of back to life before EXP, because I think what we learned from our own experiences, I think, is really helpful in my opinion here in the agent attraction business. Because I'd venture to guess, right, 55 users in the room right now. I'm gonna venture to guess that not everybody was like you, Mike, where they had their own company or their own office. So back all the way up to before finding out about EXP even for the first time. What is what was that experience like, and did you hear it one time and you're like, oh my god, I'm in? Was it a process? How long of a process? Maybe share a little bit about that experience.
Well, I was, since I was the owner broker of my company, and I heard about EXP, but coming from Keller Williams, I was super pissed off. Like, I was like, one of the reasons I went to KW was for this mythical profit share. My biggest check ever was $1,200. And that was recruiting like 12 people in 1 month. That would have been like recruiting 12 FLQAs to your front line. And I learned right away that the broker owners are convinced they have to spend all their money on expansion instead of sharing it with the agents. So when David Golden, my sponsor, I said, you know what, man, he just kept bugging me. And then I saw a couple big names come over, and I was like, all right, just tell me a little bit about it. He goes, no way, dude. He goes, tomorrow, my friend Rob's having a presentation at this little lender's office. Come fly in. And then we'll have dinner afterwards. I'm like, no big deal. So it's a quick flight from LA. So I flew in, I walk in, and it's Rob Flick and 4 other guys, and he does his presentation. I'm like, whoa, okay. And then an hour later, he goes, oh, one of my other friends just happens to be in town at a casino. Let's go see him. So I walk in, and it's Gene Frederick. And Gene Frederick gave me his 3 napkins presentation on a Keno piece of paper in the middle of a freaking casino, and I had no idea who he was. And then I talked to Jason Gessing on the phone on the way back to have dinner with Rob Flick. And after a day like that, you're just in, right? So, but I just, it hit me like a sack of bricks. I was like, wait a minute. I can make more money than owning a brokerage. I spend time with people that I really want to spend time with, have fun, build a business, be agent owner, have all the tools and technology and support I need to really coach, lead, and train agents like I love to do. This is a no-brainer. if I can just figure out how to join this company and never get fired, life is going to be good, you know. So that's that's kind of how it went down.
That's a great story, and I mean, I mean, I guess the moral of that story though too is, again, David didn't do this alone either, right? He wasn't
Mm.
just the only one. I mean, he enlisted help,
Oh
and I
yeah.
think that that's what's evolved is we know as now the three-way call, right? Is enlist support. I mean, you're supporting your organizations now. How many? I mean, you're probably doing tons of three-way calls daily with your
Yeah,
organization.
I do 3 or 4 a day on average, I would say. Yeah, and let's talk about, like if I went through my top 5 biggest mistakes, that would be one of them because we get cocky. We go, oh, we know this presentation, no big deal. We start doing 4 or 5 presentations a week and nobody's joining. And that third party validation and having your leadership or sponsorship team or support team, I should call it, get involved is freaking really important because people, as much as they love you, they still go, yeah, Mike, but da da da. But when somebody good and respectful gets up there and tells their story and relates to them better, and I train our team, like everybody sitting in the audience that knows me knows, I say, look, I don't want to talk to them if they're not a good fit for me. We have tons of people in our support line. You pick the personality that fits and make darn sure you get them on the phone or a Zoom. We don't do phone, we only do Zoom, because it's 10 times better, obviously. But that's the secret to our success. And we'll line them up. We'll say, okay, now that you talk to me, what are you really looking for in your business? Oh, okay, well, you want to talk to this person because they've been there, done that. And almost every single person that comes, within earshot of us, they have to have a third party validation call. And that's just it. Like Blake sitting in the front row right there. This morning, he just texted me and said, hey, man, I need you to call one of our new agents. And that's what we do for each other all day, every day. We're just constantly getting on Zooms and supporting each other. And it works. I mean, that's the people that are growing the fastest realize that you can't do this alone. It's physically, mentally impossible. So it's kind of where we're
Yeah.
at.
That's good stuff. In fact, I just did it with David Golden yesterday. I needed help. There's a broker owner that just came over, and he has an agent who I think you may even know, and I think she knows you guys, and that's the thing too is you guys are part of these other groups. But I needed to bring in support, right? I
Right.
might be too close to the situation. Her own broker might be too close to the situation. So bringing in that third party help is definitely very valuable. So good points, Mike. Backing up also to kind of once you got started here at EXP, then like, so what happened? How did how did you immediately just start recruiting away or introducing the model? So and is so maybe that's the first question. Let's start there, and then I got a follow up for you.
Okay. Well, I didn't start immediately because I didn't know what I was doing. But I am so lucky enough to have met Brent Gove and Gene Frederick and Rob Flick and these gentlemen and like Sheila Fairjean. These guys are awesome. They be willing to be recorded. So I watched Brent Gove 20 times. I watched The Three Napkins 20 times. I watched Rob Flick's 90-minute video probably close to 40 times by now. I try to memorize everything. I've watched every Jay Kinder video. I've watched I mean, you name it. I still to this day, my schedule for real estate agents as I coach them is an hour a day of self-help, then an hour a day of skill set, 2 hours a day of previewing property, 2 hours a day of prospecting, and an hour a day of follow-up. I've learned there's zero difference between real estate and attraction. It's the same thing. The fortunes in the follow-up, you still have to prospect, you still have to motivate yourself, but more importantly, skill set. So I still spend an hour every single day listening and watching a video over and over and over until I have them darn near memorized. Every time I watch Rob's 90-minute video, and I've done it 40 times, I pick up a new script or a new dialogue or a new technique. Every time I watch Kinder, I pick up something new. Every time I watch Frederick, like every time I pick up something new, and it's just, goes in that mental bank. So when I am talking to an agent, it kind of rolls off my tongue naturally and it doesn't sound salesy. And I've really learned a lot from practicing and practicing and practicing. That's the secret to that.
Great, Mike. So, do you mind? I'm going to put you on the spot here. Can we role play through a quick kind of appointment set?
Absolutely.
So in this case, let's go through two quick ones, and I know because there's not every script is the same. The first one is you don't know me, but you want to get to know me, and you want an appointment with me. So let's do that one first.
Am I calling you? Did I meet you? Do I know you?
Well, you said you don't, so maybe that's where so how do you initially make contact with those that you're looking to be in business with?
Well, there's a few different ways, right? So I have Facebook groups that I've created for attraction. I've free coaching and a podcast, but most of that and that's the problem. Most of it I'm still helping the team, but I do have people that call to build my own personal team because I want to build that up to see what my dream is to have 40 on my team that are all FLQA, right? So we do have appointment setters call, but it's pretty simple. Let's just say I've known you from somewhere, and I'll just say, "Hey, Sam, how you doing today, buddy?"
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you, Mike?
I'm doing amazing. Hey, listen, I know it sounds a little weird, but dude, I really respect your business, and I know you're open-minded, and I know you're business-minded, and you seem like such a good fit for our company. Sam, let me ask you a question. Has anybody really sat you down and showed you, like truly showed you the platform of EXP?
No, I mean I've heard a lot about it, so I feel like I know enough.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I was. I've been there, done that. As a matter of fact, when I owned my brokerage, I put it down so much, and I called it the Amway of real estate. And when I really sat down and saw the platform, I knew that it was the future of real estate. Let me ask you a question. If I could show you how to double or triple your business in the next 90 days, would you be willing to look at the tools, technology, and support EXP has?
Well, I mean, Mike, that sounds great. I mean, the answer is yes. I would love to double and triple my business for sure. But I've been at Remax for 20 years. I'm really happy here.
Right. And you know what? And since you are business minded, I know as a smart person, one of the most important things for you is knowing your competition, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Yeah. So let me explain to you for 15 minutes the arsenal that EXP agents have. So when you go up against them at listing appointments or recruiting appointments, you know exactly what you're dealing with. And it'll be totally confidential. And you know what? If nothing else, we'll be good friends and we can still work together. Fair enough?
That's fine, Mike. I'm willing to give you some time to do that, and I like hanging out with you anyway. So yeah, I'm good for that.
Awesome, man. I have tomorrow morning or afternoon available for a Zoom. It's just a really easy, 15, 20 minutes. When will you be in front of a laptop, not your phone?
Probably this evening when I'm back home.
Awesome. How about 6:30?
Sure, that's fine.
All right. I'll send you a link. I'll text you right now, and then I'll also Facebook friend request you, and I'm going to send you a link to the Zoom. It's super simple. It's zoomwithmikeb.com, and I'll see you tonight.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mike.
Cool, man. Appreciate it, and I look forward to getting to hang out with you.
Same here. Cool.
There you
Well,
go.
that was easy, Mike. Did they all go that way?
Yeah, because who's going to say, no, I'm not open-minded, I'm not business-minded, I don't want to know my competition. And once we build them up and stroke their ego a little bit and say, I respect you, and I feel like you're a good fit, like who's going to be a jerk at that point? Nobody. And if they're a jerk at that point, like Rob Flick taught me, we're looking for people that are looking for us.
Right.
If you're a jerk, I don't want you on my team anyways. I'm not going to fight
If
you.
it starts out that way, yeah. Why are we keep chasing people that are that way? They're going to be that way here.
Yeah, and then they might just get a touch here and there from me, because it's important to follow up with jerks too, because jerks are very proud of their business, and they're not always jerks. They're just protecting themselves and their business and their ego. But what happens is when they find out that EXP is the right move for them, they might remember being a jerk to you and go to somebody else. And I don't want that to happen. I want them to know my arms are always open. I'm always there for them. And we're just waiting for the right time, right? It's like our good friend John Chuplake says, right? I just want to be a backup. If something ever happens or changes at their brokerage, I'm going to train, lead, support them until exactly the right time, and then I want to be there for them. And I even tell them that. I say, listen, I get you don't want to go anywhere. I just want to be your second choice when something happens or it's time for a change. And now that I've been here almost 2 years and I've been using that script, it's starting to work. People are starting to call me, and they're going, you know what? I appreciate how patient you've been. I know it's been 6 months of me saying no, but my broker did so and so to me, or something happened. I just, maybe it is time to hear a little bit more. So I'm like, all right, I'm down.
It's all timing, right? And it was the same thing at your other companies too, right? I mean, it's no, you're right.
Yeah.
It's no different than selling real estate, and it's no different in any other company. We just happen to have more, not better, better tools. We've got great collaboration. I mean, we got just so much more. But sadly, you're right. Most of the agent community don't really understand the model, and because they don't understand it, sometimes that also makes it difficult, right? They can't even wrap their hands around it at first.
Yeah, the other brokers have slammed us so hard. And, let's be honest, a lot of brokers are good. They're good leaders, they're good trainers, but they're scared to death of us, right? So they slam us so hard, they put these terrible nightmare visions in these agents' heads. And that's why we're so blessed that the biggest and best teams have joined or are joining our company, because our forefathers, that joined this company a long time ago have made it so much easier for us. So now people are looking at us, and we're not the sleazy Amway isogenics berry selling company anymore. We're a very well respected company now. People see big leaders at our company, and now it's kind of easy because every time I say something to somebody, they go, oh yeah, I saw so and so joined. I go, yeah, how did you like it if I get them on the phone with you? And that's another thing. I follow the leaders and the influencers at our company. I get to know them. I get right into their world, and then I get them on the phone with my people too. And I offer to reciprocate like that too. So we're not just working with our organization or our line. I'm on the call a couple times a week with other people too, whether it's for, Frederick or Gove or somebody. It just depends on who fits, right? So we truly are that one big fire that we talk about. And if you read the book, Building an Empire, you learn so much about network marketing, and that's kind of the Bible of our business. And I'm just like super excited to have so many good leaders teaching me how to be a financially free millionaire, and it's a pretty good feeling.
That's awesome, Mike. So you've talked a couple times about follow-up. Any systems or any tips that you can share with the group? Because you're right. I mean, I know some people are spending hours and hours making calls. And maybe they're holding some great appointments, but then after that, it's gone, it fizzles out. So what do you use a certain system, or what kind of scripts, texts, anything that you're sending that you're having success with?
Right. Well, one thing Rob Flick taught me in the 90-minute video is just once in a while, shoot a text. And for those of you that don't really use Workplace, which you should every single day, or our enterprise, up at the top right is the announcements or public relations announcement. I forget what it's called. But they pretty much daily, EXP puts in there really cool things that the public needs to know about, or the other agent community needs to know about. So what I would do, and dude, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I suck at follow-up. I just am so terrible with CRMs, and I'm just like the sales guy. But I do top right is the nation, and I do know it works. And if I will be hiring somebody to help me with this, but we have KV Core for free, right? When I support my organization, once a month, I try to do an email and a text message to them, and it comes straight out of KV Core. My marketing assistant, Deanna, is awesome, and she keeps track of every single active agent's email and phone number, and it's all in KV Core. So I would just create a really cool campaign, and I would not necessarily a campaign, but I would say, set a reminder quarterly during the month, like every week or every 2 weeks, say what has happened in the last week or two that I can dig up in EXP announcements and Workplace. Not necessarily a campaign. That I can share, and I can do a mass email or a text to the people that I'm working on or trying to follow up with. And that's all you need to do, out of sight, out of mind. And if you're sharing the amazing things that we're doing, whether we open up in another country or we hit another milestone or we attract another massive agent, whatever it is, those people need to know about it. And eventually it's called being pleasantly persistent, right? So you just kind of drip on them and drip on them and drip on them, but don't bug them, but don't ignore them. Somewhere right in the middle, and that's a good strategy for follow-up. And every person I put in my phone and this is probably one of my best secrets that I do, is I'll put everybody under EXP lead, and then I'll put who gave me the lead. And if they're my leads, obviously I know, and I'll sit there and I'll sit in the jacuzzi, have a couple beers, and I'll just type in my phone EXP. It'll this huge list will come up, and I'll just do this copy and paste text. It'll say, "Hey Sam, it's Mike. I was just thinking of you. I still think you're a good fit for our company. How can I support your business today? Is there anything you're looking for?" Boom, send it off. Copy paste, and I'll fire off 100 text messages. And maybe not that's not the best way to do it, because we could easily do it out of KV Core and just duh. But sometimes I like to personalize them too and say something funny, or if I know that Sam's interested in, you know, I don't know, bigger agents or expansion or whatnot, I'll customize the text message too. But I'm also a big believer in video. So I use Marco Polo and I use video text message a lot. So a lot of those text messages might be a follow-up video and just say, "Hey man, you're on my mind. I'm thinking of you. You know, obviously there's something I can do to support you. What is it? What do you need? What do you want to talk about?" You know, and I'll just fire off video text. And that's how I keep pretty tight relationships too.
That's a really good one. I like that. I mean, I know I've seen some of your videos out there, and those have been powerful. And I think there's a lot of power in videos. And are you doing? I know Marco Polo. I know it's a separate app. Are you doing any customized like video text messages as well? Like just actually, I'm gonna venture to guess that this might be a yes. I remember getting a video from you. You actually were in Disneyland when you filmed one for me.
Right. Yeah. No, that's what I mean. Every time I text, I try to make it a video text. Even if I
Okay.
copy and paste something, I'll usually follow up with a video text. And I'm trying to always do so. I'm never sitting at an office. Like I just said, I'm at the beach, or I'm sitting by a campfire, or I'm sitting in the pool, or I might be at a really nice bar or something. And I'll just say, "Hey, you know, I just thought of you." And it sounds so authentic and genuine. And I'm just like, "Hey, I'm just sitting here having a margarita. You popped into my mind. I just wanted to say hi and see how I can support you." And dude, people love that. And I do that a lot when I'm following up with my team leads, because you know, somebody might say, "Hey Mike, will you help me recruit this person?" And I'll get on a Zoom, but I know those people aren't following up too, so I feel like it's my responsibility to pull those up. So I'll just, you know, it could be like my level 5, and I'll just pull it up, and it could be like in Florida or Pennsylvania, and I'm in LA, and I'll just say something, you know, "Hey, I heard this about so and so on the news with the lockdown. Hope you're doing okay. You know, is there anything you need?" And I'll follow up with my team's leads too. So I'm always, you know, when I say prospect for 2 hours a day, I have to talk to 50 people a day before I go to bed, or I can't sleep. Right? That's what's going to either sell 100 homes or recruit 100 agents in a year. And since I run a big property management company, I coach a lot. I mean, I got a lot on my plate, but I still talk to 50 people a day, and 10 of those might be following up with my team's leads. Some people are really good fits, and I remember these people, and I'll put in notes like, "Hey, I talked to Cindy. She was awesome. She's a super good fit. She's a game changer general, and she's going to change so and so's life." I'll put that in my notes, and then I'll put little things. She likes cats. She likes, you know, long walks on the beach and scuba diving. And I'll send something like that. Sometimes I'll Google things like that, or you could use Feedly, and Feedly will shove all kinds of interesting stuff into your feed, and then you can text and keep in touch with people that way. So I'm really good at follow up. I just need to actually systemize it. You know what I
I was
mean?
gonna say you thought you were bad. I mean, there's all kinds of nuggets you're dropping here. Some stuff I'm not familiar with. So this has been great.
Good, because yeah, I mean it's just not organized, but I have all kinds of fun ways to keep in touch with people.
Love it. And that was Feedly, like a social media feed, right?
Yeah,
Not,
yeah. You just type in cats, and then every day to email you all the. It'll search the internet for links. Like if you like Dalmatians, or if you like, you know, Clydesdale horses, or whatever, it'll just start shoving that into your feed.
got it. So it's a way to stalk people.
Yeah, it's a way to send them interesting articles that they're
Right.
gonna appreciate and like.
Yeah, I agree, and I love that, and I love that. Hey, I'm just checking in on you. That's actually one of the most. You're right. You said authentic. It is. I mean, truly mean it. I mean, that's the other part of it, right? Is be authentic when you're checking in on them. Because if you show up with revenue share breath, it's the same thing as commission breath.
Yeah, oh, dude, it's worse.
Probably worse.
Yeah, it's so worse. And that's the other thing too. And you know, and I try to use that type of language, and sales language is pretty impressive if you get to know it. And all we're trying to do is just show we care, right? And when I say I really feel you're a good fit for the company, I don't say it unless I believe it, you know. So those are the types of things I say. I respect your business, and it's hard to say I respect your business if you don't. Or, you know, and I'll say, look, it looks like you totally have what it takes to dominate this business. Has anybody showed you KV Core before? And those are little follow-up things, and that's what I ask. And I spent some time in Puerto Rico with Gene Frederick, and we were hiking up to this waterfall, and I said, Gene, teach me some crap, man. I flew out to Puerto Rico to hang out with you, and we were talking. If you watch his videos, he talks a lot about, on a scale of 1 to 10, talk to me about your business. And he, you know, of course, they always say it's a 7 or whatever. And then what would make it this? And I always say, is there any tools, technology, training? What would really turn you on and get that to a 9 or a 10? And then what's recently really working too is once I present to somebody or talk to them at EXP, and now, you know, Gene and I talked about this, and I talked to him yesterday. He was on his lake house in Texas, and we were talking about agent attraction. And I remembered when we were in Puerto Rico going to that waterfall, we decided we're going to try the script saying, you know, now that you've seen EXP on a scale of 1 to 10, 1, you're never coming, 10, you're coming today. Where are you at? And if they say 7, and I said, well, we'll make it a 10. And they say, well, I have 10 listings on the market, or I have these escrows, or I have this contract, and we isolate the objection and ease them out of it. And a lot of times they're just stuck and confused in their head. So when you ask them those questions, they start going, okay, well, if I only had this, that's what I would do. And sometimes like if we watch the model explained, and it's kind of 30 minutes, but to truly present the company and show everything, it could take hours and hours, and nobody wants to overload somebody, but maybe we didn't spend enough time on KV Core. Maybe we didn't spend enough time on the training. Like I try to go after team leaders, and the team leaders, I say, hey, you know, what's your biggest problem? Well, retention. Why? Well, the value to the agents. Why? Because I'm still in production. I'm working hard. And I said, what if I could take all the training, all the coaching off your shoulders? Would that help with retention? Will that help with attraction? Would that really help you? And then I'll talk about training. I'll show them the calendar, and I'll show them who's training and why. And you just never know what an agent wants. So you really have to isolate and find out, where am I going with this? I'm sorry, I just went on and on.
No, this is great, because you're asking, and for the audience out there, the key in this, if you picked up on it, because you're asking questions. I mean, that's the only way to get to be able to ask these other follow-ups, right? If you don't ask the questions and you can't get to know that individual truly, then how can you actually provide the solution? We know most agents are struggling with something in their business. And so if you don't know where you're struggling with, then it reminds me of the days, Mike, when I don't know if you ever did this. Unfortunately I did. At one company I was at, and they were big and blue. Not calling any names. And I used to flip over this little plastic, the sheets, and do a presentation, and they'd sit there bored out of their mind, and all of a sudden I'd wait until they lit up with one item, right? And instead of doing that, you don't have to be in presentation mode, but asking those high level business questions like you're asking, and the scale of 1 to 10 one is really my favorite. Like you, Mike, I think you said humor too, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. I use the scale of 1 to 10, and I keep it light, and I say on a scale of 1 to 10, 1, you never want to see me again, and 10, you're ready to sign up today. Where are you at? So I've never been given a 0 or a 1. So the high eyes are not hurting my feelings there. But Mike, what other things are you using in that too? Because I do believe in keeping it light, right? It's
I do put a lot of humor in it, because we're all real estate agents, and it's kind of nice. I've always liked network groups with real estate agents. I've loved conventions, because it's kind of cool to go sit with the people that actually know what you go through. So I joke about it. I go, hey, if I could show you this, and you could never have to talk to a buyer again, or weird things, and I'll show them the tools and technology. But something else that's working really good too, and Gene Frederick, again, he's like my hero. He did a presentation in front of one of Kinder's groups, and it's recorded, and it's very hard to find. But when you find it, he talks a lot about agent attraction, and how in the beginning, he just says, tell me about yourself. And you'll be surprised if you just shut up, the agents will go through, 30 minutes of telling you their problems, and I mentally take notes. Okay, they need this, they need that, they need this, they need that. So at the end of their presentation to me about themselves, you know, sometimes they're ready to join just because you listen to them. But then it's so much easier if you just shut up and listen to them first. They'll tell you what you need, and then you'll say, you know, Sam, what I heard you say was you love real estate, you see yourself in it for a long time, but if you had a way to where you had money in your bank account every month and you weren't stressed out, and or maybe you had a couple extra grand a month that you could pay for some leads, maybe double your business, or possibly pay for your assistant. You know, those are the types of things they go, yes, Mike, that's all I need. How did you know? Well, I just listened to you for 20 minutes and you told me all that crap, you know? So becoming a good listener is just as important as being a good presenter. And when you meld those perfectly, you start seeing things happen. And I've kept track, and I've personally been involved in recruiting over 300 of those 777 agents in my organization. So after 300 times of doing something, learn a lot. You learn a lot from your mistakes, and you learn what to say and what not to say. And I've really screwed some of these appointments up, but I've nailed some of them really good too. And now it's kind of at that point where just everything's natural, and it goes back to practice, right? But you know, that the self-help and the skill set is amazing when you watch, you know, one or two videos a night, and then the next day you have a couple interviews. Man, you'd be surprised how much you retained from those videos and how things just flow off your tongue naturally, and things go so much smoother. So
A great point. If I can do a shameless plug, every Tuesday morning we're actually doing scripts classes now, Mike, right here in the auditorium.
that's awesome.
And we're working through, you know, different solutions on how to get the appointment, what to say in the appointment. I think next week we are going to focus a little bit more on actually, you know, getting them across the finish line, because I mean those are the question. And they're 8 a.m. Pacific right here in this auditorium, everybody. So thanks for you'd let
That's
me
awesome.
20 seconds, Mike.
Yeah, and we do Thursdays at 11 Pacific too. If somebody wants to type that in, it's aafaststart.com, aafaststart.com. Or if you want to go back through the last 15, 16 weeks on our podcast, it's titaniumagents.com. That's titaniumagents.com. And that's just me and Jesse Zagorski and a few other people. And we invite the organization to come on and we work through their problems. I would imagine it's exactly what you guys are doing. So maybe we can combine forces and do that, because that sounds like a lot of fun. But we've had agents listen to a few of our podcasts and they call us and say, you know, we're not in your line. We you know, we saw the post of your podcast. Holy moly, is it okay if we invite people? So sometimes we'll get a bunch of people on, and it's pretty powerful, because you got a lot of different personalities, men and women, in all different parts of the country, dealing with all different levels of success. And man, I learn so much every time. It's hard for me to miss those because I learn a lot. And the agents that are participating weekly in the training are just killing it. Like when you start going from 1 or 2 a month to 1 or 2 a week recruiting, that's a big deal. You know what I mean? So we're really proud of our agent attraction training, and would love to jump on yours. I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
awesome.
happy to jump on yours as well. Yeah, do something together for sure.
Oh,
So, Mike, kind of next, kind of lead into, you know, the fact that you're still a team, but prior to EXP, you were a team and you were the broker owner, and it was a franchise on top of that. So maybe not so much the franchise, or you can touch a little bit on you know, discussions, because agents ask us all the time, how do I talk to a broker owner? What do I say to a broker owner? I mean, you that was you were in that position, and you're out there still holding discussions with other, you know, lots of other independents that you guys have been in discussions with and brought over. So what words of wisdom do you have to share with the group in regards to both teams and broker owners? Yeah, I'll let you know.
there's a video I did in Phoenix when Brent Gove asked me to speak. I was only 3 months in, and that video's helped convert a lot of brokers, because it's me talking about the pain of being a broker. And if you guys go to mikesvids.com, and scroll down, it'll say Mike in Scottsdale. But anyway, so there's several pain points that brokers go through, right? Number one, they're out of production, and most of them miss production, believe it or not. So if you're writing notes, take that down. They miss production. Number two, the broker is truly the most broke. The agents are putting so much pressure on the broker for extra training, which the broker doesn't have time to do because a lot are still in production. They want more office space and brick and mortar, which they don't use. They just feel like that will help them. Or better locations, like in fancier parts of town. And they're just like, no, you guys are crazy. I'm not spending $5 a foot for you not to come into an office, right? So that's another pain point. Technology. Brokers are so wrapped up in day-to-day alarm systems and broken windows and labor laws and who's calling in sick. They can't keep up with technology. They don't know how to sell houses anymore, and they don't know how to hire trainers. So their training sucks. They don't know what to do anymore, so they just kind of flounder, and they know it, and they feel guilty because they're not leading and mentoring and training their teams the way they should. So they have a lot of self-guilt, and quite honestly, they they go, look, I was making more money selling homes individually or running a team than I was running a brokerage. So for me, I had to keep growing and growing and growing the brokerage because the problem was only the ancillary products, like my escrow company, was profitable. But in order to grow profit, you have to grow the brokerage. So now you're in this recruiting war. You're recruiting agents that you don't want, but you have to because they might sell a house to keep the lights on. And you just get this overwhelming feeling of pressure and overhead, and monetarily you're just scared to death. Like, I don't even know how these brokers are dealing with COVID, to be honest with you. I had $80,000 a month in overhead, so our brokerage had to sell like hundreds of homes a month to break even, and then sometimes I would use my production money to cover the bills, and that's not what I intended. So these brokers have huge egos because they've built these massive companies, but inside they're scared little kids that are miserable and they want to end it somehow. But they're so deep and their egos are so huge that they don't know what to do. So it's like they are the easiest people to go after. I always say, and I have an agent attraction boot camp too. If you guys all go and join EXP Pros on Facebook, EXP Pros, it's pinned to the top. But I talk a lot about your chicken list, right? Your chicken list is that list of people you know that make your tummy get tingles and butterflies because you're nervous calling them. And they're always the brokers. But the brokers, I always say the bigger they are, the harder they fall in love with the EXP because it takes every pain point away and they could still be more profitable. So brokers love to train, they love to lead, they love to mentor, they love to still be in production, they love all this stuff. And now they can do the stuff they love and all the stuff they hate goes away. So if you can explain that effectively and efficiently to a broker, they're just like, whoa. And they take a little while to, for their ego to be chipped away. But once they see it and it hits them like a bag of bricks, they're like, oh my gosh, like, how do I do that? Like, a close friend of mine, David Kurz, I remember sitting in Vegas with him one day before he converted his Miami brokerage, and we were about the same size. I had HomeSmart and he had Kurz Realty, and we were comparing notes. And then we were at Closing Table Mastermind one time, and another broker stepped in, and we were, have a couple cocktails, and that's truth serum. And we're all like crying in each other's arms, going, "This sucks. How do we get out of this? How do we, And it's every broker has this pain point. Like, unless you have thousands of agents and it's just like on autopilot, But those are the types of brokers that they're going to die before their brokerage, completely falls apart in the next couple of years, or they've invested so good that they don't care. But the reality is mid-sized brokerages, 1,000 agents under, those are the ones to go after because they're the ones that have so much pain and they really don't. By the time you build a brokerage to that level, you are so burnt out, you want to jump off a cliff. So I hope that's helpful.
That's great,
I'm
Mike.
pouring my own heart out like, oh God, building a brokerage is like the number one stupidest thing you could do on the planet, like for real.
As you were sharing this, you made my stomach curl again because you took me back to some flashbacks, and I was like, "Oh my God, you're right. I had to just hire to hire, and I hated those days." So now we get to pick our partners. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, and real estate not being local is so key. Like, I'm in Los Angeles, right? I have in my own town, I don't even have any agents. You go 40 miles away, I have 100 agents, but the rest of my 800 agents are all in other states. We have powerful teams in Philadelphia, Florida, Iowa, Minneapolis, Seattle, Phoenix, like all everywhere but California. Couldn't get any farther away from California, and that's cool. And being diverse is so important because during all this COVID stuff, my rev share fluctuated like a couple grand, not enough to even worry about. But if there's a massive earthquake in Los Angeles or a massive hurricane in Miami, it could wipe out a brokerage in a heartbeat. And that's not cool. It's like investing all your real estate rental property in one town. You just couldn't be any dumber, right? Like you just couldn't, unless there's zero natural disasters. But I can't think of a town where there's zero natural disasters, whether it's volcanoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, Dust Bowl, like you name it, there's something. So it's so nice to have agents all over the country and meet these different personalities, like my Philly team, my Minneapolis team, Iowa team. These people are hilarious. Like I never knew people could be so fun and so nice and so hilarious. And it's just such a breath of fresh air to own a brokerage. In my opinion, I own a very large brokerage, right? And I own a very large business. And yesterday we did the class on the cash flow quadrant, and that's available to see in the EXP Pros if you guys are interested in that. But Robert Kiyosaki talks about owning big business, 500 or more employees. Well, I equate our organization with 500 or more because once that grows to that level, you can't stop it whether you want to or not, right? So now we're a business owner, and obviously at that point you're an investor, deeply invested in the company. So when you explain that to a broker, they're just like blown away, and they're so busy in their day-to-day nightmares that they never even notice that until it's too late. So all those types of things are what we talk to brokers about.
Love it, Mike. Good stuff. So one more question before we open up for some Q&A, because this is one I think that you'll be a great person to speak to this, because for those who have the 100% shops around or near them that are competing with them, I mean, Mike, your home, I mean, HomeSmart is a 100% company.
Yeah, flat fee company.
Yeah. So can you talk to that? Because I think that's that's another common question that we often get. I hear a lot about is, well, how do I even talk to somebody at a 100% company?
It's so simple. It is so simple. It's not even funny. So a flat fee company on average across the country is $500 a transaction, right? So if an agent's doing 20 transactions, they're spending 10 grand. But what we forget to talk about, there is the transaction fees, a marketing fee. Their E&O oftentimes is $200 a file. Like it adds up. So if you sit down, like Blake just typed something, Blake's hilarious with numbers. But if you sit down with a flat fee company and look at it side by side, it's always more expensive than EXP. And then what I love more than anything is when I have an agent that does, say, 10 deals or 12 deals a year, and I sit them down, they go, look, I'm still spending less than 16 grand. Well, you could go into well, if you had a little stock, and you can go into, well, if you only had 6 agents and they all got one, that's 3 grand a month, and you could literally blow that away. That's super easy. But what I say is, so Sam, what I hear you saying is you like your flat fee company because you're only spending 10 grand a year. But if I heard you right, also you wanted to double your business. So if you doubled your business, you're actually going to spend more than you would at EXP, huh? Yeah. And if you're at EXP, you would have the tools, technology, and training to actually get you to double your business, right? So it seems, and I get it, I was at a flat fee company too. It seems like you're saving money, but in actuality, you're wasting more money. And let's put it down on paper. And you could show that to them so easy. And when you're going after a broker, it's even better because the average agent is worth $3,000 to a broker if you're at a flat fee company and you're around that $500 thing. And that's maybe one doing one and one doing 30, right? But the average agent's worth about 3 grand. So when you show them the revenue share with no overhead at 2,800 on your front line, they're like, whoa. And then you show them all the other benefits, they're like, whoa. Like my revenue share right now is a lot more than I was making at my brokerage. My brokerage was breaking even, always has been, always will. So the idea is to show them, look, you could take all these pain points away and still make more money with no liability. Oh, by the way, yeah, I was in 6 lawsuits and I'm still in 3 of them, right? And every broker that's good is also in lawsuits because they're a big company and they hire people they don't know, and people have commission breath and they do things that nobody could even dream of to try to get a commission. And then when you're in front of a judge and your judge says, "Why would you let this happen?" You go, "I don't know. I never even met that person." Again, EXP looks really good.
All really great points. Mike, this has been awesome already. I mean, even if we stop here, this would be a great session. But let's open up for some Q&A from the audience. So guys, great time to ask away. We've got about 10 minutes remaining for some questions for Mike. Go ahead and type in the chat box or open up your microphones.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Richard.
I'm just a little bit confused. If a broker has, say they've got 5 agents working underneath their company, and the broker comes under EXP, then what would he do with all those agents? Do they all become under EXP? And so that I don't quite understand how that works. Did he lose all those agents effectively?
He just puts them all on his front line.
Oh,
Or
I see.
stack them how he sees.
Yeah, so oftentimes, guys, too, when you have brokers, definitely when you have brokers, reach out, not only work with your sponsorship group, but reach out to our growth department too. We're here to support in that same manner, and we can help with running some of those different numbers. So if it's a brokerage of 5, brokerage of 500, right, Mike, we can help in breaking down what is the best economic solution for a broker, small or large. We want to make this economically viable for them to be able to make the move. We're not here to try to take advantage of the group, but we want to make sure that try to help them as much as we possibly can to recover as much of their overhead and their costs as possible. In some cases, right, Mike? I mean, from coming from 100%, you probably came out on top, like you're saying. But regular traditional brokers, they don't come out on top on day one anyway. I mean, it's usually a step backwards because they see how many steps forward they can take and beyond.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Any other questions, guys?
Hey, this is Emma. I have a question. You guys, can you hear me?
We can hear
Hey,
you. Emma.
Hey, so I'm in Delaware. You actually took me back to my nightmare. I feel like I need a cocktail now with my with my brokerage, and I was in exactly that whole scenario that you talked about. I came here 2 years ago. I had so there was only 10,000 agents. The thing that I did find when I brought over all my agents, we were in baby stage of onboarding, and I'm just wondering if you guys could help me out with the retention factor, because I have notice that I kind of have lost some of the people that I originally brought. So I want to go back and try to bring them back into the company because we've just changed so much in the last 2 years. But I'm having that retention issue. Do you guys have any suggestions for that part of it?
Yeah, and I'm assuming onboarding is not your retention problem, but they might have been a little frustrated up front from onboarding, and they might have ditched the company. But Brent Gove says it well. Like, we were pioneering a new model. Anytime you have a disruptor, anytime you have something new that's going to take over, you're going to have a few pain points. You're going to have to deal with a little bit of uncomfortableness because the payout in the end is going to be the biggest. So obviously we fixed 99% of our onboarding problems. So we could take that away and we can talk about onboarding and how to handle that at any time. But the reality with retention is I feel it's up to the organizations and the team and the sponsorship or support teams to train down, right? So if you were my level 3, Emma, I would say, listen, they need to be involved in weekly coaching. They would need to be involved. Somebody in your line obviously is very experienced. It can help newer agents and get people to plug into the company. The company has every single thing an agent needs to be successful. The problem is the sponsorship or leadership or support teams don't plug in themselves, right? So a lot of times they're an agent, they have their own lead gen, they have their own assistants, and they don't even know. But when I take a team leader or anybody for that matter through a presentation of our company and show them how powerful workplace is, how powerful the training is, how powerful all the different systems, all the different rooms are, in our world, and what those actual individual people and departments do and then show them how deep KV Core goes and how it is one of the most robust CRMs on the planet. And I just go in every single little thing that we have, show them how to properly use Breakthrough Broker. When an agent's eyes get open to how awesome everything is, they're not going anywhere. Because you can say, look, you can go to Remax, you can go to Coldwell, you can go wherever you want, but they don't have this stuff. They don't have the support. They don't have it. So I recommend you look up to your support team and you look down to the people you've that are in your organization, and you better get to work on them, and you better get together with people in your organization and say, what are we going to do? What kind of classes are we going to give? How can we get the agents to go to EXP fast start classes again and really understand what the company offers? And even on Brent Gove Resources, there is a onboarding checklist, and there's a lot of people with onboarding checklists, but if you go through the mentorship program, and if you really plug in and know everything the company has, you don't have any more retention issues. Nobody's going anywhere. But if you blatantly ignore and you don't commit to the company and understand what we have and what we offer, you're never going to be able to retain agents. You're never going to be able to motivate them, and they're going to eventually leave because people join people first, right? People come to the company. We're hiring agents organically through the company because of each other. So if each other doesn't support each other, they go find a new each other, and they will find a new clique at a KW, and they'll say, look, EXP was fine and dandy. I never got any rev share. I never got any stock, but I like these people at KW, so they're going to leave because nobody led them. Nobody held their hand. Nobody showed them. Nobody did anything to help them.
Yes.
And that's the problem with retention. So if you can get all that together with your upline, then you're going to be rocking and rolling.
Yeah, I'm there, but I just wonder, do you have a good script for making phone calls to former EXP people that you could throw at me real quick so that I can start trying to get these people back?
I'm just guessing off the top of my head, but I would just go ring ring.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
Hello.
Hey, it's Mike Bjorkman. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Hey, listen, I can't get you off my mind. I know you were at EXP a while back, but I just really wanted to point out some of the amazing things that we've done to improve the company. I know you had a little sticky onboarding and whatnot. I'm sure you've heard our stock doubled in the last couple of weeks, but we've added amazing departments and employees to our company, and there's better support, better training, and better tools and technology than ever. Have you ever considered possibly coming back, or at least taking another shot at EXP if you knew we improved all these things?
Well, Mike, as you know, our office was up in Dover, and that's nowhere near where I'm at, and we just didn't have any office stuff going on. And I had problems with all different kinds of things, and I felt like I was out there by myself without having that office to go to.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. And let me ask you a question. How often do you go to the office today?
Well, now with COVID, I haven't been going in as much, but
Right, exactly.
I still like my friends that I
Yeah,
have at my small office that we opened up.
and that makes a lot of good sense. And nobody's going to the office anymore. And one of the things about EXP is we've proven without a shadow of a doubt we didn't skip a beat. All 500 plus of our employees worked from home, stayed at home. Everybody was still happy, safe, and not only that, successful. So we've proven the model is actually, the most powerful model on the planet. But if you knew that you could still have the fun and still have your friends and still have the support and really have what it takes to be a really successful real estate agent, would you give it another look?
Yes, absolutely. I love that.
Right.
Thank you.
Because Emma,
You're right.
one thing I know for sure is those people that you're like hanging out with, and you obviously care about them, but what I know about this company is it's truly the best company to be at. And if your friends you really care about, you'd probably want them to bring to our company because they do deserve stock. They do deserve revenue share. They do deserve a cloud-based environment. They deserve the best training and support and actually all the tools to sell more homes, right? Do you believe that?
Right.
So
Right.
I kind of feel like it's my humanly duty to tell every soul on this planet about our company and how awesome it is. And I think that you're the type of person that wouldn't want to hide success from your friends, would you?
No. I just really need to get a better handle on all that internet. I wasn't good about getting in the world, and the technology overwhelmed me.
Right. If I spent some time with you and made sure you were really comfortable and confident that you could plow through this company and really understand it, I might have made a mistake and I might have been new too, but I really have my head and heart wrapped around this company. Could I show you? Could we just do a 30-minute Zoom and let me really dig deep with you?
Sounds like that would be a good plan. I'd love to have a cup of coffee. Let's talk about it.
Let's do it. All right. All right. So that's what I would say. And I haven't practiced that, nor have I tried that yet, but it seems like that went well.
But no, you fed
I
into
think you
exactly
got
what
her, Mike. She's coming back.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Good, really, that was a great. I'm glad you were able to ask that question. I think, is it Blake's hand up? I know we're almost out of time. Blake, is that your hand or is it behind
yeah,
you?
that's my hand up. Mikey, good morning. Good morning, Sam. So these are great questions. I'm so pumped because I have a few brand newer agents in the auditorium with us that are really excited about attraction. And a common question is, well, Blake, I don't know anyone, or Mike, I don't know any agents quite yet because I'm kind of newer in the business, but revenue share really excites me. EXP really excites me. How could I go about approaching those people?
All right. So the probably the best thing to do is get very active in every local possible group there is. MLS meetings, caravans, those types of things. There's ARIA, there's NAREP, there's Women's Council of Realtors, and there's a lot of availability at the board of realtors, and you could get involved heavily with all that stuff. It's kind of like if you moved into a new town and you were self-employed chiropractor. What would you do? You would get involved in every charity possible. And that's another good idea for agents, right? Because there's a ton of them there. You get involved in every charity, every community event. You go to all the chambers. It's no different, right? If you're dropped in a new town, you need to meet people and you need to hurry up and start cracking backs. That's what you would start doing. So it's no different as a real estate agent. You just got to get to know these people. And when you're calling to preview property, hey, Blake, it's Mike Bjorkman. I would love to preview your property. I got to look at about 10 homes and pick 3 for this weekend. Is it okay if I swing by? By the way, has anybody ever showed you and really sat you down and showed you the EXP platform? And as you're calling to ask people if homes are available, or as you're going through escrow with people, when you meet people at open houses, there's so many different ways to meet realtors. It's not even funny. You can create network groups. You can be part of network groups. You can dig through the MLS. You can have Market View Broker. You could try to build a team and, say, hey, would you guys like to collaborate? Would you like to be part of this network? All these different things. There's so many ways to meet agents, and I would just write a list down and write a perfect daily schedule and do 2 hours a day of prospecting. Make sure that's in there.
Really good stuff, Mike. We got a couple bonus minutes here with you today. Guys, I know we're a little bit over. Appreciate Mike greatly. A round of applause for Mike Bjorkman for coming in and sharing here with us today. Mike, it's again, thank you so much for sharing the story and lots of golden nuggets that you shared with everybody. And it's there you go. We always dance our way out of this session, Mike. So if you're ready to either F7, and we're gonna dance our way out of here when you're ready.
How fun! I love it.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. That was so fun and awesome. Appreciate you.
Thank you.